Well, good morning, Unity of San Marcos, and for those of you who are gathered in this room, I am Linda Gillespie, a licensed Unity teacher, and your speaker for today. It is with great love and deep respect that I welcome you here, all who have gathered and those who are watching later in the week via YouTube. We kind of got into stuff before we got into the recording, but that's quite all right. We know that God is not testing us. That was the point that I wanted to make. And yes, we are given opportunities to grow spiritually. Dr. Reverend Gary Simmons, in his book, The Eye of the Storm, Embracing Conflict and Creating Peace. The whole point of it, well, not the whole point, but one of the main points of the book is that no one and no thing is against you. If you don't learn anything else this morning, no one and no thing is ever against you. He takes, some days it's hard to believe that statement. But every day we have moments that invite us to believe that this is true and accept what is. Some are just small irritations, and others certainly catch our attention. We notice that someone has dented the car. The store is out of a product that we wanted. That's really frustrating. For me, anyway. And we've gained 2 pounds in one day. Oh, for heaven's sake. Or a loved one has fallen back into addiction, and we get a frightening diagnosis from the doctor. Whatever has happened is what it is. It just is. Acceptance means that for now, this is the situation before me. I may not have consciously chosen it, but here it is. So I'm at choice. I get to make a choice. I can make a situation wrong and become a victim if I choose. I am upset because. And then the story unfolds. Or I can know this is somehow for me, not against me. How can I have this be an opportunity for growth and move through it well? When we argue with reality, peace becomes unavailable. Unless the external circumstances change, our judgment of the situation boxes us into the negativity. Choosing a state of acceptance allows us to be guided by our own spiritual essence. Divine order is in place. Doing our best to stay in acceptance allows a subsequent shift in consciousness to create a void that invites the unlimited possibilities of the universe to be made known. Because we are paying attention, we are guided to our next steps. Acceptance of what is becomes an avenue to greater faith, and we see the results of that trust multiplied abundantly. My first experience with acceptance was, it came around 1983, when I immersed myself in a 12-step program due to a sugar addiction. We used the AA Big Book. That was the only printed material that was available for addictions at the time. We found that if we just changed the words that didn't describe the addiction that we were addressing, it worked beautifully. And every story I read, I easily identified. It was like somebody was looking in my bedroom window. It just, it just really resonated with me. And there's one in particular written by a doctor. And all I know is Paul O., because this is an anonymous program all the way around. But the words that he shared with me resonate. I have this silly thing memorized, and I use it often because it fits everything. And what he said was, "An acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. When I'm disturbed, it's because I find some person, place, thing, or situation, some fact of my life unacceptable to me, and I can find no serenity, no peace, until I accept that person, place, thing, or situation as being exactly the way it is supposed to be at this moment. Nothing, absolutely nothing happens in God's world by mistake. Unless I accept life on life's terms, I cannot be happy. I need to concentrate not so much on what needs to be changed in the world as what needs to be changed in me and in my attitudes." I have to say that I totally agree with Father Richard Rohr that we are all addicted to something. Now that doesn't sit well with a lot of folks, but if you get real honest with yourself, yeah, probably so. Whether it's shopping, sugar, whatever, drugs, alcohol, the list goes on forever. Our society and culture has taught us that seeking pleasure will make us happy. The truth be told, for the moment it will. But when the banana split is gone, so is our happiness. Romans 12:2 says, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your minds." For me, that's what it's all about. That's the third principle of unity. Thoughts held in mind create after their own kind. That's a really old way of putting it, but yeah. Our thoughts create our reality. We had to learn on our own, in unity, that happiness is an inside job. Our happiness comes from within when we change our attitudes, when we stop judging and finger pointing and blaming, all that stuff that we're so good at, and it just creates drama that many of us are addicted to. Anything that brings you pleasure and happiness that has to be repeated in order for you to maintain your happiness is probably an addiction. My recovery from my addiction to sugar through 12-step program set me on this spiritual path that brought me to unity. I have found a purpose for living based on the teachings of Jesus and the unconditional love of God. I've had to make some major changes in my attitudes in order to get here. I mistakenly thought that I was supposed to know what was best for me, and that I was supposed to know what was best for my husband, my children, my siblings, my friends, you, just anybody. I had the answer for you, so I thought, because that's what I was taught. I was supposed to have those answers. I quickly learned that only God knew those things. So after a lot of deep soul searching, in 12 steps it's called a searching moral inventory, I decided to let God be God in my life and in the lives of the aforementioned. I was just sure that I could see exactly what was wrong with everyone. Yeah. I was the chief critic. Not only did I know what was wrong, but I could tell you what you needed to do to change in order to be happy. Unity and acceptance have taught me that as children of God, we're all fully human, fully divine, and we all make mistakes. And no one is judging us. But who? Do we know who? Yeah, ourselves. We're the judge. Nobody else is judging us. They don't have time. They're too busy being whatever they're being. When I complain about me or about anyone else, I'm complaining about God's handiwork. Well, I don't think that's very appropriate. I'm saying that I know better than God. No. When I learn to surrender and let God be God in my life and everyone else's as well, my whole world changed, including and especially my attitudes. There's Romans 12:2 again. Do not be conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. According to the Cambridge English Dictionary, attitude is a feeling or opinion about something or someone, or a way of behaving that is caused by this. The last few words of that definition caused me to pause. Caused by this. For now, this is the situation before me. I may not have consciously chosen it, but here it is. So, I am at choice. It's the dent in the car, or the store being out of the oil I want so badly, or the 2 pounds I gained in one day, or it's a loved one who has fallen back into an addiction, or it's a doctor's report that we weren't expecting. Whatever it is, for now. Now, remember in the opening prayer I talked about being in the this moment. For now. This is the situation before me. I am at a choice. I get to make up my mind what I'm going to do about this. Do I react, or do I take a deep breath and ask for help to respond to caused by this with all the love and grace and wisdom that is at my disposal? But that phrase, caused by this, tells me that there's someone to blame. And if someone is to blame, well, guess what needs to come after that? Punishment, for heaven's sake. I don't think so. Stuff just happens, guys. As Byron Katie once said, life is simple. Everything happens for you, not to you. A long time ago, I ran across an article by Charles Swindoll, and this is what he has to say about attitudes. The longer I live, the more I realize the impact of attitude on life. Attitude to me is more important than facts, than education, than money, than circumstances, than failure, than success, than what other people think, say, or do. It's more important than appearance, giftedness, or skill. It will make or break a church, a company, a home. The remarkable thing is that we have a choice every day regarding the attitude we embrace for that day. We can't change the past. We cannot change the fact that people will act a certain way. We cannot change the inevitable. The only thing we can do is to play on the one string we have, and that is our attitude. I am convinced that life is 10% of what happens to me and 90% of how I react to it. And so it is with you. We are all in charge of our own attitudes. End quote. I think he pretty well spelled it out for us. However, I would change one word in the next to the last sentence. To me, react is a knee-jerk reaction. It's just filled, for me, with anger behind that reaction, where a response is different. It's thought out before I open my mouth. That's the only difference from my perspective in all of that. So, back to our original question. How can I have this, whatever it is, be an opportunity for growth and move through it well? All of this tells me that by choosing a state of acceptance, it allows us to be guided by our own spiritual essence. Divine order is in place, and we know that no one or no thing is ever against us. Acceptance of what is becomes an avenue of greater faith and we see the results of that multiplied abundantly. And so it is, and we let it be so. And let's just take all of this into meditation as David plays some very soft music as we prepare for that.